Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
It's Wednesday, October 26th. This is The Gateway. I'm Wayne Pratt. Officials say it will be at least a month before students at two St. Louis public high schools will be back in the building following Monday's deadly shooting.
Obviously, with the kinds of things that happen in that building, we need to make sure that that building is ready to receive students and staff and the community as well.
We will examine what is next for students at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School and Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience in just a few minutes. With St. Louis Public Schools officials saying it will likely be weeks before students are back on campus, they are also defending the response to Monday's deadly shooting. St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumke reports.
St. Louis Public Schools officials say school leaders and security did everything they could to keep students safe during the shooting. School officials say the first security guards the shooter encountered were not armed. Within minutes, officials say the district's separate armed response team came to the building and entered alongside Metropolitan Police. School Board President Matt Davis says he's not sure arming the school's guards would have made a difference.
The assailant had a high-powered rifle, so much so that he could force himself into a secured building. The building is riddled with bullets. I don't know how much firepower it would take to stop that person.
Davis says if the rifle had not been available to the student, he thinks Monday might have been different. I'm Kate Grumke, St. Louis Public Radio.
Family, classmates, and school staff are remembering the 15-year-old student who was killed in the shooting. Central Visual and Performing Arts High School principal Casey Shaheed says Alexandria Bell was a 10th grader studying dance.
She was just a very well-rounded individual, beautiful inside and out, just a wonderful personality, pretty serious student, pretty no-nonsense about things, but definitely had a personality with her peers and with her classmates.
A St. Louis pastor who counseled Bell's family says it will take time for the community to heal from the violence. St. Louis Public Radio's Andrea Henderson reports.
Just hours after the school shooting, the Reverend Roderick Burton of New Northside Missionary Baptist Church met with Bell's family. He comforted her grieving mother, Keisha Akers, who recalled her daughter's passion for dance and infectious smile. Burton prays often with parents who've lost their children to gun violence. He says it will take a while to process the shooting because it was intentionally done to harm children in a safe space.
Despite what's going on the streets of St. Louis, the school is a place where folks feel safe, and this was shattered intentionally.
Burton says Akers is now a part of a growing group of parents nationwide who've lost their children during a school shooting. I'm Andrea Henderson, St. Louis Public Radio.
Health and physical education teacher Jean Kushka was also killed in this week's shooting. St. Louis Public Schools and other city organizations, including St. Louis Behavioral Health Response, are offering resources for those affected by the violence. Clinical psychologist Marva Robinson says feeling sad or anxious is normal after experiencing such trauma.
It may be triggered by something they see on TV or a certain phone call, but to allow those emotions to happen. But I would tell them first and foremost to reach out and lean on support. That is one of the most critical things that can be a big game changer for healing versus staying stuck.
St. Louis Public Schools has a list of mental health resources students and staff can utilize at slps.org. Robinson was a guest yesterday on St. Louis on the Air. In other news, a former leader of one of the largest employers in the St. Louis region has died. The Post-Dispatch reports former Express Scripts CEO George Paz died unexpectedly Sunday. He started with the Pharmacy Benefits Management Company in 1998 and retired as CEO in 2016. George Paz was 67. The stadium for St. Louis City SC has not opened, but it already has a new name. The Major League Soccer team is changing its relationship with St. Louis-based Centene to focus on community health and wellness programming around the region. So it's goodbye Centene Stadium and hello City Park. Education leaders and public safety officials are reviewing the response to this week's deadly school shooting in South St. Louis. They are also trying to determine when students can return to Central Visual and Performing Arts High School and Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience. St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumpke talks about the decision-making process and the investigation with our Jonathan Ahl.
Kate, we know more about the student who was killed in the shooting on Monday. Who was she?
The student was Alexandria Bell. She was 15 years old, and she was a sophomore at Central Visual and Performing Arts. This high school is for gifted and talented artists, and Alexandria's talent was she was a dancer. So she was doing a competitive dance class. And Principal Casey Shahid was telling us that Alexandria Bell was successfully addressing several different goals. One was improving her dance, another was improving her academic performance, and here was her other goal.
She also had a goal of improving her sassiness, pretty sassy personality. If she thought you were wrong or she didn't like how you approached her, she definitely would advocate for herself. She was just a very well-rounded individual, beautiful inside and out, just a wonderful personality, pretty serious student, pretty no-nonsense about things, but definitely had a personality with her peers and with her classmates.
In light of the shooting, school officials are looking at how school security responded on Monday. What are they saying?
School leaders from St. Louis Public Schools say that there is a lot to review and that they definitely think they're going to be looking at this closely and deciding if anything needs to change. But they also repeatedly said during a press conference on Tuesday that they think everyone involved did what they were supposed to do, that they followed the guidelines, and that they did a good job trying to keep students safe. But there was a question that was kind of raised about whether or not the security officers at the school should have been armed. So here's what DeAndre Davis, the Director of Safety and Security for St. Louis Public Schools, said to describe how the security was arranged at the school.
We have stationary officers who are placed inside of schools. Those safety officers are not armed. We do, however, have response safety officers who are armed. We go to all the different schools and we respond from elementary school to middle to high schools. Those officers are the ones who were first on the scene on that day with SLMPD to get inside that building.
And so, of course, the question out of that is, should the security officers have been armed? And that question was asked of School Board President Matt Davis. Here's his response to that question.
My understanding is that the assailant had a high-powered rifle, so much so that he could force himself into a secured building. The building is riddled with bullets. I don't know how much firepower it would take to stop that person. You saw the police response. It was massive. It was overwhelming.
The school building, it houses both Central Visual and Performing Arts High School and Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience. It's been closed during this investigation. But what happens now with the building, and where are the students going to learn and when?
That's right. So the building will still not have students in it this week. Students are going to be allowed to go to retrieve their belongings from the school, but they won't actually be going to class in it. And then there's not going to be any classes this week. Starting next week, students will be learning virtually, and it's unclear how long that's going to take. And actually, St. Louis Public Schools Superintendent Calvin Adams also seemed kind of unsure about how long it's going to take for students to be able to go back to that building.
That may be a month, maybe 2 months. We don't know right now. Obviously, the building was just turned back over to us. With the kind of things that happen in that building, we need to make sure that that building is ready to receive students and staff and the community as well. And so I would think it is likely that it will be a longer than shorter period of time before those students are allowed to go back in that building for regular instruction.
Education reporter Kate Grumpke, one of the reporters at St. Louis Public Radio who's been following this story. Kate, thanks for the update.
You're welcome, Jonathan.
That was St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumpke speaking with our Jonathan Ahl. We have more on the deadly school shooting at stlpr.org. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri-St. Louis. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Wayne Pratt.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.